Okay. Hello, internet and friends and family. This is Addison, aka Sugoi Penguin Gaming, the creator of my Liege, and it's time for maybe the second to last devlog before release. We'll see. I've got kind of a rough idea of what content I want to make, but yeah, things are coming together. This devlog, I want to talk about the playtesting, how those efforts went, what lessons were learned, what changes were made, highlight some of the bigger things that have changed in the game, and then briefly talk just what comes next. Not give away the entire story, but since about early January, so last month, I've had playtesters playing the full build of the game and giving me feedback. I talked about this last devlog, and pretty great results. Huge thank you to everyone that participated. I'm still open to suggestions for like this week still, but like I'm closing it up soon so I can focus on the release. In general, I didn't even pull up a count, but this is my spreadsheet of all the errors and issues people found. So, like, these are just straight up errors. These are issues in the story that don't quite make sense. And then these are, like, personal preference things that people pointed out that, like, it could be better, or it's not a game-breaking issue, but it, what they would like to see better. And this is intimidating. One, it was great for people to find actual errors that I hadn't found yet. There were about 5 or 6 absolute game-breaking bugs that people found, and to the point where they were just like, I can't continue. Thankfully, fixed them all, and even better, it was kind of a good stress test for my save system, where people were able to continue their game after it was fixed. That was a real cool minor victory for me. But just, even in those moments, what the heck am I even talking about? I lost my train of thought. No, so the whole point is that the playtest very successful in finding bugs and stuff. You can see here, I had the best way I could think of doing it was a spreadsheet of just recording the issues. I was gonna use Jira tickets at first, but they were coming in so fast and fluidly, and the Jira, like setting up the Jira tickets, was just a little inconvenient. Use whatever tool works for you is the biggest lesson I've learned from developing this game, I think. Categorizing them from, major issues, minor issues, mid issues, oh shit issues. That way I know what to focus my energy on a little easier. And then just tracking statuses. This was actually extremely helpful for writing patch notes. So, lessons from the playtest. Biggest one was probably there was a remarkable change in quality in my writing. And what I mean by that is acts, like the prologue, aka the demo, and act 1. My workflow was, I was still learning a good workflow for creating the dialogue. And so what I was doing originally was I would write things in plain English, just like as I would speak, and I would shove it through this old English translator I found on the internet. And then I would take parts of that and use it as I saw fit. Because some of it would come out a little too old Englishy, some of it was not interesting enough, or didn't convey the right meaning in my head. And so that workflow, really error prone. Lots of spelling errors, lots of grammar errors, lots of sentences that just kind of had the first part but not the second part. And it was a very choppy workflow, so it kind of makes sense why that happened to me. However, once I got comfortable with at least the tone or the use of Old English that I was shooting for, what words in general I wanted to use, and which ones were too obtuse. The later acts, 2, 3, and 4, a lot smoother on the end product as far as like number of grammar errors or spelling errors, and that was because I kind of switched my methodology. I was coming up with ideas for areas to talk about or matters to have. I was still road mapping it like that, but then I would just start off with an Old English writing, whether that was I wrote it myself or I used an AI prompt to give me ideas of what people would do in that situation, and then translate take some of its suggestions and write my own version of it, or rule out no, that's not quite the game I'm looking for kind of suggestions. But there were just fewer steps, and I didn't have to wrestle with a translator in the middle, kind of fudging up my intent. And when you're writing as much dialogue as this game took, that really helps. That was a very important thing. So that was probably the biggest lesson I learned is, wow, that first iteration or that first workflow was problematic. The other thing is, I have playtested this game so much. I swear to you, I play my own game. I play it a lot. One, just to kind of play, but two, to test things. And people still manage to do things that I never even considered, and it was great to watch. And that would probably be item number 3, is just when you can, if someone's playtesting your game or testing your game to give you feedback, hang out with them. Not so that you can correct them at all their wrong turns or wrong impressions, but just so you can get the original experience of what they're feeling or seeing or how they're interacting with your game. That was really big for me to see. It's I had some friends complaining that the camera was too slow, and I'm like, really? I have no problems with the camera, but I've been using it so much. And then I saw how they were using it, and they were using it to go all over the map, but it would take them so long to get there. And so what that led to was a camera scroll speed. So if you want to go fast, you can crank that up, and now you can really cook it. You can really book it. Now, I think 500% is a little excessive, personally, but if you want it, it's there. But I wouldn't have added that if I hadn't seen how people were interacting with the game. So yeah, I would say those are the biggest lessons I learned. One was, I guess, the first lesson really wasn't a lesson. It was more reinforcing that iterating your dev process is okay, because you're gonna find something better. People are gonna do crazy things, and you need them to do crazy things to break your game. And watch people, not just try to look at error logs or something. There's a story behind how people interact with your game that you can't get unless you're really watching them and witnessing them playing without interfering. That was a big thing. So what actually changed? Well, a lot, actually. So tons of bug fixes, a lot of soft locks, a few story branches actually got improved because of people's feedback. But probably the biggest things were things that I was just in progress of, and I used the playtesters to help verify that the changes were good. I would show them all off, but I'm just going to list them all just to make sure I don't run out of time here. The graphics completely, not specifically graphic, fidelity, but I changed the rendering method from forward to deferred. The big difference there is how it treats light in Unity, and since there are plenty of times where I have separate light sources, deferred made a lot more sense. I got a lot more performance out of it this way. Whoops. So if I bring up the FPS count, the game runs at a nice silky smooth 60 plus FPS pretty much all the time. If you're viewing a lot of map, it can dip a little bit lower, but that that was just kind of using the proper rendering method. Now, was that something that I was going to figure out early on? No, because I didn't know what proper rendering method it was going to be until I knew what the game was. Real kind of a chicken before the egg, or chicken and egg kind of situation when setting up a new project, is answering some of those big questions that Unity wants to know. Similarly, the color, tone mapping and things like that, I hadn't touched any of that. I was using just raw out-of-the-box settings for the built-in render pipeline. And finally started tweaking those things a little bit. So things like I had done a little bit with the global lighting and the ambient lighting and the shadow toning. But one of the bigger things was I just simply told it to use like the high definition range of colors, which is the uninformed way of saying what I really did. I don't remember what I really did because I followed some tutorials, but basically I was just like, hey, we're not using all the colors we can. Let's get at it. And that actually, I think, really helped specifically the trees and the woods, and especially if we go into like a fall mode, like the range of colors is just brighter and deeper at the same time, and I am very happy with how that turned out specifically. Another area that got a huge overhaul while working on this was the audio. Music and sound effects and stuff, I kind of all normalized it out so that we'd have less peaking and less like I can barely hear it. And then simply with that, added just a lot of ambient sounds. So like if your camera is anywhere over the woods, you're gonna hear like trees rustling and birds tweeting. If you're anywhere over the river, you're gonna hear some water running and sounds like that. Kind of pumped up, kind of the crowd sounds you would hear over the towns, and even something as simple as meeples walking have crunchy footsteps now. So tried to add audio everywhere and anywhere I could think of. There's still a list that I'm chasing down, like candles having a little light flicker sound to them, or there's some trebuchets that are running on mime mode. They need to make noise. So that was a big overhaul. I added this photo mode. That's less of a big change, but just kind of something nice so that within the game you can remove all the UI and just kind of enjoy the world if that's your jazz. Oh, I forgot, with the photo mode you can also change like the weather and stuff. So let's hang out for a moment in heavy rain and just I am so happy with how heavy rain feels. Like the lighting is good. It's just, it feels nice. I like it. It's like the photo mode though. Other littler things where people were having they liked the way that the camera went to the meeples, but oftentimes it would clip through the ground or whatnot. So I added like a smooth kind of like flying effect. So if you're close, you still just go straight to them. But if you're not close, like let's put this big hill in the way, you should have it kind of lift you up, pan you over, and nestle you right down. And I'll also help people with like a scale of the world. The camera was just snapping around too much, so smoothed all that out. And then the last kind of big swath change is actually something I just did yesterday. I updated the UI finally. So previously the buttons were very flat, very Microsoft Office or Windows 95 kind of looking things. And so improved them to have kind of like a more intricate little edge patterning and things. And then when you hover them, that blue highlight is now just kind of like only along the edges, like a faded, and it affects the interior a little bit, but just something to give it a little depth. And you can see even here with the subtle white shading, they don't look as flat anymore. And I'm really happy with how they turned out. Similarly, replaced the scroll bar to be something a little bit more on theme, and just a lot of little changes like that. But I feel it added a lot to it without a lot of extra work. Thankfully, because I had made my own prefab versions of every UI element, I only had to change, I think, 7 prefabs, and then just go around and verify that all the menus looked fine. Mostly that was just figuring out, do I want to use, is there enough space for the design on the buttons, or do I need to use the less intricate version? There's probably more big changes I did, but literally this month has been insane in terms of doing things to the game to improve it. The game, it doesn't feel like an accurate statement to say it is improved more in the last month than in any window, because there were windows where in a month it went from not existing to existing. That feels way more monumental, but that's how I feel about it now. So huge thanks to the playtesters, and just this step of the process feels really good now that, like, we're adding all the polish and items that I've been meaning to add, but just was like, no, gotta make the game exist first, and then we can do the polish. So where does that leave us? Well, and still some things I want to fix or work on. One of them is specifically things like that extra layer of polish. There's that list of bugs I still haven't gotten to all. I'm not going to get to all of them. That's unreasonable, but there's still a lot that I need to get to. There's a couple of storylines that kind of get broken at the end a little bit. Or not broken, but just don't have a satisfying outcome to them. And so I want to touch them up a little bit. And some behind the scenes, kind of like a little bit more on the performance side, a little bit more on the usability side, a lot of little things like that. So there's still some work to do, but we are ready to have an actual release date now. And so I'm going to have more official announcements later, but if you get this far in the devlog, cool, you can know it'll be March 31st. That is the day we're going to go live on Steam. I'm going to do, like I said, a whole bunch of stuff to promote that a little bit, but that's the date. And having a date that's something. It's cool, and it's anxiety, and it's good anxiety, and it's just it's like, okay, there is an end here, and I need to meet it, and I'm just looking forward to having it out there to share completely with the world. But how do I get the world to know about that? That's the things that are coming up next. So the biggest part of the next month and a half is gonna be those kind of marketing or PR or like other pushes. So I'm gonna do some proper marketing, maybe run some commercials on Twitch and things. Big thing first though is I need to update the Steam page. The Steam page still running like my old trailer, and the screenshots are old. They're not what the game looks like anymore, and things like that. So it's not an inaccurate representation, but like this just isn't as good as the game looks now. So definitely need to redo the Steam store assets and kind of give another gloss over of like writing the text for everything, coming up with these new GIFs, redoing revisiting the tags, all that stuff. I did hire a graphic design artist to hopefully help me come up with a better logo and these Steam assets, so I'm excited to see what they come up with there. I have a huge surprise for the trailer of the game. I got a pretty cool talent to do a voiceover for it, so stay tuned for that. I'm so excited for you. The new trailer is so hot. The visuals are better. The voiceover is amazing. My brother is helping put together the music for it. It's gonna be excellent. I'm so excited to show off that. And then we put all that together on the page, and I start hitting up the press and things. So making a press kit, reaching out to publicating sources, reaching out to streamers, all sorts of people to see like, hey, can we partner and do something on your stream, or can we partner and have you write something about me? All, any and all takers. So with that in mind, tell your friends. In about a week. In about a week, I think the Steam page will be updated. But even then, like, tell your friends, check this out. It's coming. It's soon. Once I have the official like page updated, with that will be the actual official release date. But this is we're to the point where I'm really excited, and I hope you guys are too. Oh, I started working on achievements. That was the other big thing. They're not available to see yet, but proof of concept has worked, so that was neat. We're into the Minnesota long goodbye portion of this video, so I'll just cut it off and say, yeah, wishlist my liege. Coming in March 31st, you will see more content on this channel about that, I guarantee it. And next devlog, hopefully we're talking about the everything that goes into the launch of the game. So I'm targeting probably the next devlog about a week or two before the launch. I assume I'll have some time as I'm just kind of like letting the dust settle. But I do want to talk about that because this is the part of the game process that I know very little about currently, and I need to learn a lot more about. So we'll hopefully do a devlog on that. So otherwise, have a great day. Thanks for checking in. Adios.